It's Hughezy, hello, and hello to everybody, especially if you can get a reservation to Dorsia. Hilarious. This is an American Psycho special. It's a little different to what we've done before, and by say a little different, I mean it's completely different. It's the first episode that actually has a theme on purpose. But up first, the most exciting part of it all, the plugs. Don't forget there's a show Patreon that can really do with a nice help. All money that comes into that Patreon goes towards the show and not my massive Cabbage Patch doll obsession, addiction, collection. Not really. You see how funny I am? On that Patreon you'll be finding all kinds of content that's exclusive, and you'll get there completely uncensored, unedited and early. It's the only place where you can go to hear the full and uncut interviews with people such as Eric Bischoff, Bruce Pritchard, Anthony Cumia, and including today's guest, Guinevere Turner. I will never ever upload it uncut anywhere else except to that Patreon. So if you want to hear the uncut stuff, including a preview of my upcoming interview with, you guessed it, Dave Meltzer. Yes, that's true. Dave Meltzer is coming on the podcast, and that is where you will be able to hear it on my Patreon. But of course, this is a podcast on the Creative Control Network. Follow the Creative Control Network on Twitter, where you will find all kinds of show information and network information about other shows such as the Brilliant American Dirtbags, now with just Dennis for now. And don't forget about Highway to Helms with the Brilliant Hurricane, Oh What a Rush podcast with Animal, an honourable mention, and of course Joe Feeney's podcast itself, the Creative Control podcast. And if you're listening to this on some sort of streaming app, don't forget that you can find the video version of this podcast on YouTube, where you will be able to see exactly how bored the guests are from speaking to me. But if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget that you can go to all your good streaming apps, Google Play, iTunes, TuneIn, Spotify, anywhere you go to get podcasts and download it. We'll not only hear this, but a lot of bonus stuff. And if you are watching this on the YouTube, this episode more than anything else, I couldn't recommend going to the audio version any more than I can, especially. But you have to go there to find out what I'm talking about. Speaking of YouTube, if you happen to be a wrestling fan, don't forget to subscribe to the Keep the 100 official YouTube page. That's the YouTube page that I run for the official podcast of Conan, Disco Inferno, and that other guy, his name I can't remember. And don't forget to interact with the videos, because if you leave a comment, Disco, Conan, they see it, they keep an eye on it. That's the way for you to actually interact with them. And they will mention those comments on the Keeping It 100 podcast, which of course drops every Thursday. And don't forget that if you're listening to the audio version, to hear the extra bonus audio, which of course I can only say if you go there, don't forget that all that music heard is 5-star brilliant. So that's my review of it. I wouldn't put it on there if I didn't think it was 5 stars. And it can be bought from all your good streaming apps and music stores. So that's the end of the plugs. Okay, so as I say, this is an American Psycho special episode. And we've got two big fans on, and then we've got a big guest on regarding American Psycho. Up first, we're going to have the brilliant Felicia Rose from the podcast The Screw, which isn't a DIY podcast. She's come on to talk about her American Psycho fandom, and we discussed the film in very intense, graphic detail. Oh yes. And did I mention that her podcast The Screw isn't a DIY podcast? Then we got boss man himself, Joe Feeney, on. We're going to do an American Psycho watch along. Now this is a watch along for the uncut version, not the version that most people have seen. So get the uncut version, which you can get on Blu-ray. I also think it shows uncut on most TV shows. It's not uncut on Netflix, okay? The censored version is on Netflix. You want to get uncut, you got to get the other way. Joe Feeney comes on, we do a watch along. I was drinking during it, I've got to admit. And I've got to admit I'm kind of drunk right now, but it's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, so who could blame me? And then on top of it all, we've got the brilliant Guinevere Turner. Now, if you don't recognise that name, Guinevere Turner wrote American Psycho. So she's come on to talk about the writing of American Psycho, about the legacy of American Psycho, about some behind the scenes trivia, and a little bit of talk about an American Psycho sequel. Oh, yes. But up first, Felicia Rose from the DIY podcast, The Screw. Felicia, hello.
So I'd like to welcome back to the podcast one of my more recent and more popular and favorite guests, Felicia Rose. How are you?
I'm super good. Thanks for having me on again.
She's not only a great guest, she's a great social media follow. You can follow her at the People's Trump on Twitter. She's very funny and witty, and at the People's Trump on Instagram. She's well, let's just say she's very nice to look at, but as well as being very funny. You see?
Yeah, only my new Instagram is at People's Trip because I got shut down. So that's cool.
Okay, there you go. So today, Felicia's kindly cancelled her social plans for a very long film discussion group here. It's going to be a new segment that I do every once in a while. So up first, the film that we're going to discuss on this episode is the classic American Psycho. So, Felicia, do you like the film American Psycho?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on to talk about American Psycho for this film discussion segment. I think this was a great start, and I'd love to talk to you again about a film in the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Blown away by how good looking I am and want to attempt to be as gorgeous as I am? Well, if you don't know where to start, I recommend starting with the Tees Hanley Skincare System Level 1. It gives you all of the basics. It gives you face wash, gives you an exfoliating scrub, an AM and PM moisturizers. All of this for only $25. But here's the best thing. Since you're all a part of the It's Hughezy Hello family, they're offering you an exclusive discount to try their already affordable system at an amazing price. Click the link in the description to get the exclusive discount, or use the coupon code Hughezy Hello. That's all capital letters for a 20% discount. You may never be as absolutely unstoppably gorgeous as me, but Tees Hanley is the best way to try. Thank you, Felicia, very much for coming on, for taking all the time for that extensive, epic discussion. I think we might have gone into a little bit too much detail, but hey, it was the first time, we know better for next time. Up next is the watch along. So get your DVDs or your videos or your Betamaxes or whatever the fuck you've got of American Psycho ready. The watch along doesn't immediately start when we start talking. We count you in, but just get ready anyway, okay? So Joe Feeney and a little bit of a drunk Hughezy. Hello.
Okay, so it's Hughezy Hello, and we're going to welcome Joe Feeney back to the podcast. How you doing, Joe?
I'm very good. I think I'm having an asthma attack or something, but other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
And we're going to be on very different wavelengths here because, as you may see in the video, I'm drinking a nice double whiskey and Coke Zero because I'm healthy.
Perfect. You know, I've heard that diet cola, no matter what it is, actually is better for drinks than regular cola. I don't know, something to do with the bullshit sugar content or whatever. But I've heard Diet Pepsi's the best for drinks too. Scientifically proven.
And what we're doing here today is it's the first that we've done this on the incredible, massively successful It's Hughezy Hello podcast. Is we're doing a watch along, but not for a short comedy wrestling match. We're going to do one for one of my personal favorite films of all time, American Psycho. So, Joe, what's your opinion, take on American Psycho?
I remember it's kind of like it's one of those movies you don't get at first, or at least I didn't, because I read the book, and the book's horrifyingly just graphic, and I mean, it's just like the movie where there's like all these long descriptions of his facial wash, shit that he does every day, his workout routine, all that, and descriptions of shit on the menus and all the stuff you see in the movie. But there's also a very disturbing scene in the book that didn't make the cut and could probably never make a cinematic cut of anything. But and I'll go into that probably during the movie. But the movie, I didn't get it first, and the more I saw it through the years, I realized how fucking funny it was. See, when I first saw it, I was expecting like a dark serial killer thing, which it is, but really it's just funny as shit, and that's really where the charm of the film lies. You know, the fact that you're laughing your ass off. You're like, I don't, what kind of movie is this? You know?
Yeah. For me, what happened? Whatever. I'd gone to like the school dance, or what we call them formals, or you call it the prom or whatever.
Yeah.
It was the day after the prom, and for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep. So the next day, I was still awake, and a bunch of us had planned to go see Jackass the movie. This was about 2002 or three, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And when we went, it wasn't showing at the time, and the hangover started to kick. So we just says, "Well, what's the next thing showing?" And the first film shown at the time was Equilibrium, which was a very underrated action film starring Christian Bale. So we just went in to see that, and I loved it. I thought he was great. Then later on that day, when I got home, American Psycho debuted on BBC Three, and I'm watching it and I'm like, that's the same guy from Equilibrium, and it's like, but he's so different. What an amazing actor!
Yeah.
And I've been a huge fan of him ever since.
I remember when they first announced him for Batman. I went, "Are you fucking kidding me? Of course, he's gonna be Patrick Bateman as Bruce Wayne, basically. And it's very different, but it's also kind of similar. You know, he's kind of rich, fucking standoffish dude, you know, as Bruce Wayne." And I was like, of course he's gonna be a great fucking Batman. And I wish he still was Batman, actually, with, you know, not to get off on the fucking on a right turn here, but Affleck was all right. I don't know what they're doing now. They're talking about changing the whole thing. I keep fucking saying make John Hamm Batman, for Christ's sake. It's not difficult. He would be tremendous, but I heard they're doing younger Batman, so
He went from Patrick Bateman to he should have been Patrick Batman. Get it?
Boom.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is I've got it queued up on Netflix, and Joe has possibly the uncut version. I'm sure that Netflix has maybe the censored section version. So
I found it on a feed here. Like I said, it's an hour 42, and I'm not sure.
So how are we going to do this? Well, I was going to play it with the sound off and the subtitles on.
Yeah. I'll probably have it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just want to real quick before we start, and sorry, this is fucking up the recording. I just want to see the difference between the time on the uncut and the regular version. Just give me 1 sec. Yeah, this will probably take too long. Whatever. I'm sure it's not that. Never mind. All right. So you want to just count down, or?
Oh yeah. So I've got it literally at the 0.000. I don't know why I even said that. I should have just said at the beginning. This is why I need a punch in the face. It's the goddamn whiskey taking over. I gotta have to whip my own ass for wasting everybody's goddamn time.
My problem is it's Wednesday and it's noon. So normally I wouldn't have a problem drinking at noon, but on Wednesday I have to do Keeping It 100 and fucking something to wrestle with. So this is like my podcast nightmare day. Like it's like just 12 hours of just fucking listening, re-listening, editing, cutting, whatever. But I guess it could be worse. I could be a janitor.
So you could be editing Words Through My Eyes by David Radigan. Oh!
True.
Okay, so we've got it queued up at 00. Are you ready to go?
Yep.
We're going to start the watch along in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so far I don't like it. Got the Lionsgate. This is, even watching that old type of studio logo.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I love this title sequence. Look at that soft white lettering. Oh my god. It's even got a watermark.
Well, we're lucky this isn't a Weinstein film production, because I would end this call right now. I would not be taking part.
But this, I remember first seeing this film, and that's when I realized straight away how genius it is. In that, this opening, like we're seeing this red droplets, like, oh, is it blood? Is it blood? And as we come to reveal, it's from a delicious dessert.
And I think you'd have to agree that Dexter, the opening to Dexter, took a little bit from this. I never realized that till right now. You know,
everything about it. But this is, of course, not only directed by a woman, but it's co-written by 2 women, and one of them is a lesbian. What is that food there, by the way?
That looks like some kind of pork tenderloin.
Not a big meat guy. I always remember this waiter at the start. He goes, the way he says marmalade, he goes with roasted marmalade. And I would instantly, if that was me, she's like, you know what? I'm not fucking eating here. You and your marmalade.
I'd like to say that I'm a big Josh Lucas fan. I know everyone that has probably seen Boogie Nights and recognizes the genius of it, but I don't know how many people have seen Wonderland with Val Kilmer. Have you ever seen that?
I have.
Tremendous. And one of the great soundtracks that people probably don't know about. Wonderland, every song's fucking tremendous.
Like, what do you think of this kind of, you know, the thing about this food that I like is a lot of people say that it wasn't nice food, but our pasta this evening is squid ravioli in a lemongrass broth with goat cheese, profiteroles, and I have also an argula salad. For odd choice, even have swordfish meatloaf with onion marmalade. There you go.
It's everything sounds terrible. Everything sounds terrible, but at that time you're just everyone's going along and following along with what they're supposed to be in the 80s and everything, and you just order it because you're supposed to. Because it sounds snooty and you want to be snooty. See, I'm from the South Philly area and I fucking almost never go out to eat. I order cheesesteaks that come to my door. I was eating McDonald's on camera with Keeping It 100 yesterday, so my diet is the shits, but roundabout way of saying I'm not a fancy restaurant guy.
See, this is something that I've always found interesting about the film is that does Patrick Bateman actually look the way he looks, or is it all in his head that he's so vain that he thinks he's so good looking? Because he drinks a lot and he's very unhealthy. Jesus, McDermott, what does that have to do with anything?
Every one of these guys in his crew is great too. What's the other dude's name that was in not the Forgotten? He was on that HBO show where everyone fucking disappeared.
Oh, Justin Theroux.
Yeah. He's good. He was good in 6 Feet Under too.
But the thing about this film is it really makes you realize that Christian Bale is one of the greatest actors ever. Look at that.
Hold on, setting my captions up here. I was gonna say, like, we talked about him being a great Batman, and then in the same movie he's the guy who was the worst fucking Joker of all time, so unfucking believable.
That is right. Yeah.
I hate him, by the way. I hate everything he's ever done.
Well, what's your audio level there?
I have it. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we don't get struck.
Okay. Yeah, I had it a little bit up there, but it's all the way down now.
But this is one of these films that would this be on your like top 5 films?
It's definitely got massive amount of rewatch. I don't know. Sometimes when I come up with my top 5 or top 10 and just in general conversation, I don't usually think of American Psycho. I don't know why. That's not because it's not. It's just sometimes it doesn't. I don't think of it immediately. But if it's on TV, I'm watching it. If you see it on the guide, I'm watching it. I just watched it at my friend's house last week. We were looking for something to watch. American Psycho was on. Boom.
See that bit there? You're a fucking ugly bitch. I'm gonna stab you to death and play around in your blood. Do you think he actually said that, or was this his Bateman's in his head?
I think he said it, and like everyone, I think the point of the movie that we'll get to eventually is that people are so self-absorbed that they're not hearing or seeing anything that's going on around them. Plus, the music was very loud. You probably just didn't hear him.
Yeah, I've done that a few times with bars. I gotta tell you, and a lot of people don't like me bringing this up. I used to be in this kind of physical condition because I was a bit like Bateman in that, you know, you would wake up and work out until you're a sweaty, barely able to move mess. Then I would go out for the day and come home and do it again at night. There's a hand and a brain in the fridge.
Yeah.
In the morning, I put on an ice pack while doing some stomach crunches. I can do up to 1,000 now. Look at his balls.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
But it's amazing how physically. Look at that. That's a good-looking man there.
Not bad. He should be on my man I'm attracted to list next time we do that, actually.
Absolutely. This, I don't know if this, because see, I never read the book. I only seen the film first, and it's like instantly straight away, I'm realizing this film is genius. Like all this dialogue and how it's such mundane detail. Like it adds nothing.
Yeah, the book is super similar, where he like I said, he describes all his routines and everything like that, and some of it is spot on, exactly how the book goes. But there's some differences. In the book, Lewis Carruthers is still a tumbling dickweed, so there's always that.
Because alcohol dries your face out. It makes you look older.
See, I never had time to be vain because I started losing my hair when I was like 22. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
During your crazy Eddie days?
yeah, lucky me. But it's good because that means my wife's always known me as bald, so my looks haven't gotten any worse. They've just been bad. So
And of course, Christian Bale famously based his Patrick Bateman performance on Tom Cruise.
oh, really?
Yeah, that's who because he said that he remembers meeting Tom Cruise and that it was just like this, where he was all smiles, but you could just see there's nothing in the eye.
Right. I remember reading that actually.
Awesome song. I'm walking on sunshine. Oh,
Walked into my old job like this so many times, and it's just an inside joke with yourself, because no one can hear what's on your fucking headphones. You're walking with a fucking puss on your face and Katrina in the waves.
and Morning Hamilton.
Yeah.
There's Chloe Svengali, who of course famously then went on to give a blowjob for real in the film The Brown Bunny.
Yes, and was also from Kids. I'd like to say I never found her attractive. I know we're not supposed to discuss people's looks anymore in 2019, but just figured I'd make that clear.
You know what's so weird about this look he has as Patrick Bateman? He then went on to look pretty much exactly the same as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, probably the same haircut.
Do you think that for real that American Psycho could be made in 2019?
I heard they were making a TV show out of it.
Yeah, I'd heard that a while back, but
Never.
I don't know if that could be possible.
This guy Bret Easton Ellis, he wrote American Psycho. He wrote Less Than Zero. He wrote The Rules of Attraction. You ever see The Rules of Attraction?
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's great to see James Van Der Beek as a super fucking heel too, because that was the Dawson's Creek days,
But no, but with Christian Bale, it's kind of like this is one of these films that I don't think he'll ever top this. Like he's got this film Vice that's out. I think he's won an Oscar for The Big Short.
I'm not sure. I know he's nominated for Vice and he won the Golden Globe, right?
I think so. But weirdly, I've heard that he's an unbelievably nice guy in real life, but on set, he's freakishly intense, like on the dangerous level.
Well, everyone's heard that Terminator clip where he's yelling at the lighting guy, right? So
yeah. Another great song, Simply Irresistible. I'm trying to listen to the new Robert Palmer tape.
Overrated Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I not a fan of her, but pretty good in this role. But this is what I can't wait to speak to Guinevere Turner about. Is it because the book, which I've never read, is so brutal and violent and stuff. But what made them want to go on to then make this? Because I want to fit in. Yeah, because this film, see, to me, this is a comedy, whereas stuff like Reese Witherspoon films, I'll never watch.
Tragedy.
Oh, fuck. I'm on the verge of tears by the time we arrive because we won't have a decent table.
One of my worst movie confessions ever is when I was younger. I saw like the worst movies I've ever seen because I was like 18, 19. This is like my first serious girlfriend. I've been with her more than a year or whatever. So I fucking bowed to her like you do when you're that age. And I remember seeing Legally Blonde and going, never again. Never again will I watch something just because, a chick's forced me to or whatever.
She's doing a third one?
Well, I mean, I was going to say what she got, but she could be one of the biggest actresses in the world still, and I wouldn't know because I would avoid those kind of movies. Was she in the fucking Ocean's 8? Was she one of them?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Fucking Lewis Carruthers.
During the shooting of the film, Christian Bale spoke in an American accent, offset at all times. At the rap party, when he began to speak in his native Welsh accent, many of the crew thought he was speaking that way as an accent for another film, as they thought he was an American throughout the entire shoot.
God damn. Now, I know it was originally, or it might have gone through several different possibilities, but I know DiCaprio was attached, and fucking, I'm sure his people were like, no, brother, you just did Titanic. You're not doing American Psycho. Although he probably would have been really good, but I don't think he would have outdone Bale here.
I've read that it was going to be Leonardo DiCaprio doing it with Oliver Stone.
That probably would have sucked, to be honest.
That's Oliver Stone. He's very 50-50, but I heard that the budget would have been something like $80 million, and ironically, they made this film for less than what DiCaprio would have get paid.
Yeah.
See, this is a very Scientology type speech, the sort of Tom Cruise thing. We have to change the world after they've single-handedly cleaned the field under punishment of starvation. Yeah, Tom Cruise Patrick Bateman says that he would watch Tom Cruise talk show appearances. What do you call them?
Mannerisms.
But yeah, mannerisms and stuff to understand what to do with his character. And it says that Hugh McGregor was offered the role before Christian Bale, but Christian personally urged him not to take it.
What had he done before Psycho? Do you know? I know he wasn't he in like fucking Willow or something? Wasn't that like his he was like a teenage actor too, right?
No, he'd done Empire of the Sun, the Spielberg film when he was a kid, and then he'd really not done a whole bunch of much. Bleachy. I love this.
Say Bleachy.
I love see when he spins around and the woman speaks to him. The look on his face is hilarious, like he shits himself.
Yeah.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you. I remember watching this with a girl I was seeing at the time who was Chinese and could translate what they're saying. And she's saying, we cannot get the stain out, it's too large. Stupid bitchy! I love this look on his face here.
Does he just constantly have a fucking cigar in his hand? Like what's
I know.
his excuse is to not meet up with her, just fucking Christ, I'll call you.
I wonder who she is to him. He's wonderfully fucked her. Oh!
Yeah, I think in the book it's something like that. It's an old lay, if you will.
You know what I'd love to see happen for real? An American Psycho sequel.
Or they could go American Werewolf and do American Psycho in Paris.
Yeah, but because what's Patrick Bateman doing now?
Wait a minute, there was an American Psycho sequel. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was right. See that sex tape or the porn tape he's watching?
Yeah.
I've seen that accidentally, of course, and it's called White Angels, and it's an infamous porn tape in that it's really fucking experimental in that it doesn't follow linear storytelling and that. So like it would open with full-on sex scene, then it cuts to the woman undressing, then oral, then back to taking her underwear off. So it's all over the place. And it's sort of known for like being the first and only one of its kind. So it's kind of showing you that Bateman's personal enjoyment is
eclectic.
Or is it saying that this was one of his personal tapes because that one came out in '98? So maybe this is him filming himself with like he does later on with the I love this bit. It's possible to reserve a table for 2 at 8 or 8:30. But the thing is, because Christian Bale, when you see him in interviews, he seems like he's a bit of a laugh, but then he's so intense.
Yeah, I liked him, and then I think from his Golden Globe speech that he, much like most of Hollywood, he seems to be something of a liberal. So,
yeah,
I'm sniffing a little bit. I think I am getting a bit of a cold.
It says that the vast majority of the dialogue in the movie is actually taken word for word from Brent Easton Ellis.
Yeah. I gotta tell you the name of this movie. Because everyone knows American Psycho. Everyone knows Less Than Zero. Some people know about Rules of Attraction. But he had a movie come out called The Informers. You got to go out of your way to watch The Informers, dude. It's fucking horrible. Horrible. 12% Rotten Tomatoes, right? Billy Bob Thornton, Kim Basinger, Mickey Rourke, Brad Renfro in his last performance. It's all over the place. And it was a huge budget film, and you've never heard of it because it's that fucking bad. The Informers. Anyone listening? You want to laugh? Go watch that piece of shit.
Oh, I've seen that.
Have
The
you
New York
really?
Matinee called it a playful but mysterious little dish. You'll love it. Pardon. And the red snappers with violets, which will follow us.
I think
Yeah,
we've
no,
all
I've seen The
seen
Informers.
Oh, can I make a date rape joke? Or is it? Yeah, it's 2019. I can't believe someone else has seen The Informers. That's pretty funny. But I thought Renfro was tremendous. That's the only reason I watched it, to see Renfro's last performance.
See this scene here? I think this is one of the greatest comedy scenes ever. Like it's absolutely like everybody in it is brilliant, and the fact that hello Halberstram, nice tie.
You know, he's really not bad in this role, I guess. I still don't like him in anything.
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now this scene is just the fact that he gets so jealous over a business card that he starts to actually sweat.
But he does have a slightly better haircut.
He does. Who do you think's better looking though, Jared Leto or Christian Bale?
Bale. I don't like my men can't be effeminate looking. If I'm gonna, it's got to be a dude, a man's man. You know what I mean? Like masculine features. What?
Josh Lucas's career didn't really go too well for him because he did two big blockbusters. He did Stealth, which bombed, and then he did Poseidon, which really bombed. And then he did a TV show of the Firm. You remember the Tom Cruise film? And that got cancelled after one season, so it's not going well for old Josh.
Yeah, if you're the star of a TV show that's based off a movie, unless it's fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer, somehow was a huge success. Most TV shows based off movies are the shits. Although I think Lethal Weapon might actually still be on, which is amazing.
Yeah, I will watch that. The lettering Cillian Rail. This
That's
face here on Bateman, he's like biting his nail. He's like, shit, fuck, son of a bitch.
I can't believe it's like in Patton's car.
Like, I can't believe you're like Paul Allen's car.
I'm looking here. Josh Lucas was in The Lincoln Lawyer, which was very good.
Yeah.
But he was like the third lead, but it was still a good movie.
This is so brilliant because, nice. Let's see Paul Allen's card. Impressive.
They're all uncomfortable. By the way, none of those business card holders go whoosh every time you flip it open. So
look at this face.
In the book, he was Paul. This is a fucking out of the way question. Who's the guy that owns the Supersonics? And he opened like the Hendrix Museum. He was like one of the big Microsoft or IBM guys. I'll look it up, but they had to change the name because he had the same name.
Christian Bale would work out for at least 4 hours a day to get in this kind of shape. That is fucked up. Pardon?
Well, he's how crazy he is when he fucking starved himself for that other movie.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That, of course, Guinevere Turner, who was the writer of this film, also plays one of the women later on who Bateman killed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh yeah, that's weird. In the book, the character's called Paul Owen. In the movie, he's Paul Allen, and Paul Allen actually is the guy that I was talking about from Seattle that that I think he owns the Sonics. He opened the Hendrix Museum, all that shit. So they changed the name to that guy's name, which is weird.
Wasn't the book version of Bateman, he was like way more, well, really racist in it?
I don't remember, but I find it awesome that Jussie Smollett is in the movie here, because this is exactly what happened to him.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, post the picture of the guy that attacked him. Bateman wearing a MAGA hat. But what did you think of? That's what I'm always wondering. Did this actually happen? Because that's why I find the film so fascinating.
To me,
shit. Do you know that?
To me, when we get to the ending and stuff, people have different opinions. I think it all happened, and it was just a commentary on how self-absorbed people were. The only thing that I think maybe didn't is the fucking shootout, where he just fires a handgun a couple times, and the cop car blows up, and then it's like, okay, that might be a fantasy, but I think the bulk of it is legit.
I think that it's not to be all like political here, but it's kind of to do a lot of white privilege, and that maybe because you hear a lot of stories about, especially in the 80s, a lot of people committing like flat out rapes and getting away with it because of who they're connected with.
It's the Ted Bundy thing. Ted Bundy got away with it because he was hiding in plain sight, you know?
What did you think of that dog killing scene? Like that's a bit rough, like.
Yeah, I don't, it's funny that we can watch people get slaughtered on film and fucking 10-minute rape scenes like in Last House on the Left or whatever, and they're affecting, but you see an animal get hurt and people are like, whoa, that's fucking too much, you know? But I agree, yeah, just hearing the dog get stomped and all that, I'm not a fan.
Or some Beale pubes. I hate the fact. See, when I look back at pictures like this, footage like this, and I know that I used to be in that kind of shape, and I compare it to what I am now, it just fucking annoys me.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, I literally ate McDonald's bacon cheese fries on camera yesterday. I think just to shame myself. Like, I'm so fucking disgusting right now.
See, more booze. Hey, Hamilton, have a holly jolly Christmas. Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah. Great ass.
You know the thing that always shocked me that she got away with, Reese Witherspoon, is that there's the footage of her she get pulled over for speeding, and she pulled the whole "don't you know who I am" shit to the cops, just like.
Yeah, so much for white privilege in that case, though.
Yeah.
That'd be a broken deal if I was dating a chick and she brought out her fucking pet pig. No, this might be the last night we hang out.
At one point, the novel was considered for a possible television show on NBC, starring Kevin Dillon.
Johnny Drama.
However, due to ownership, the film was eventually made. This was later squeezed into an in-joke on Entourage, starring Kevin Dillon.
I never noticed how, like, it's funny because Drama is supposed to be a shitty actor, at least in the good years of Entourage, which eventually turned into a fucking flaming turd. I still watch highlight videos from the first few seasons or watch like Ari scenes. They're great, but I didn't realize how bad an actor Kevin Dillon was until the show told me Johnny Drama was a bad actor. Now I look back and see Kevin Dillon in like The Doors or Platoon, and I'm like, man, he stinks. He's brutal.
I love how rude they are to this poor guy.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you want to keep your spleen, imagine yelling at it. So wait, did they leave the party to go out for dinner?
I don't know. I'd have to look at. You'd have to go with the continuity of his tie, and see if they were if it's the same night or whatever.
So if this is set at Christmas, this is a Christmas film.
That could be. I think that should be. We should put that out on Twitter and shit. You know, being that everyone denies that Die Hard is, although we all know it is.
Is that Ivana Trump? You know, there's a bar in town. that I don't think really I'm allowed to go into that much anymore. And they have a big giant mural painting of Patrick Bateman with a blood splatter on his face.
Really?
Oh yeah, I gotta get it. What is that? Fuck, looks fucking disgusting. I like to dissect girls. Do you know that I'm utterly insane? But it makes you wonder, did he actually say, so it's like, is he thinking that in his head, or is he saying it while he's drunk?
I think it's the same thing. Like, this dude's just waiting for his chance to talk, so he's pretending to listen, but he's not really listening. You know, that's why he can get away with saying shit like that, because no one's really hearing him. They're just waiting for their chance to speak. It's Evelyn Grass. Damn it.
Have another martini, Paul. All right, here is one of the fuck. Jesus, this film is great.
What's that bottle on the floor there? Is that Yukon Jack?
Do you actually like Huey Lewis in the news, by the way?
No. I don't dislike them, but I just... Although, based on his advice, I might have to go check out their catalog and find out when they had a deeper, more cynical view on things.
In the novel, Elizabeth gives Patrick Bateman the nickname Batman. The result of moving the E from his surname. Be later played Batman, and Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises.
Wonder what he's taken there.
Mm.
They usually give you but they didn't give you anything on the label there, just his name.
It always makes you wonder. It's a shame why the Bale didn't do more comedy or comedy ever again, really. Well, I guess The Big Short would be considered a comedy, but I fucking hated it.
He could do it. It's like, I don't think anyone expected to see Colin Farrell be as funny as he was, but when he did Horrible Bosses, he was funny as shit. That's one of the funniest random characters of all time.
Yeah. And of course, apparently Christian Bale improvised that dance on the spot.
Right.
And I couldn't even move like that if I tried. Hey, Paul. You fucking stupid bastard.
Perfect timing with the song there, too.
It's so brilliant. And the fact that he calms down instantly and sits for a smoke.
This was kind of a little bit of a bombski, wasn't it? It wasn't like a hit or anything at the time.
I think it made a very small profit, but at the same time, the film is made for such low money.
Wow, only a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. Interesting. Yeah, the novel. I'll get to that scene. Oh yeah, it made $27 million. No shit.
That's not bad. But the weird thing is that it's likely made a fortune since then on DVD, because there was that boom period of 2001, 2004, where everybody was buying DVD. So like a film could bomb at the cinema and then make like $60 million.
I can't remember offhand who it is, but one of the major companies is going to stop making Blu-ray players already. It's like, what the fuck, man? The Blu-rays. That's what it is now. What's next? You know, I think they think people are just cool with the fucking on-demand and they don't want to own media anymore. But I don't think that's accurate. You know,
the Blu-ray, the production of Blu-ray was the thing that fucked it all up for everyone, because like, just say you had 1,000 DVDs. Like, do they just expect you to go buy 1,000 more Blu-rays?
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to. It's different that when when people had like vinyl in the 70s and then CD came out in the 80s, you would replace it because it's like, well, I can't play a vinyl in the car. So it was an upgrade in software that people didn't actually need. So they fucked themselves and they fucked the whole industry.
Pretty much.
The name of that porn film, by the way, is called White Angel. And I've seen it. Usually in 2 to 3 minute segments.
Someone sent in an email last week to Conan Show and asked for top favorite porn stars, and people I think get disappointed because the JoJo fucking Chatterbait, all that. I really I don't know the names of porn. I didn't have any. The only porn stars I could think of is like Jenna Jameson and like Jill Kelly. Like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
yeah, Jill
you got
Kelly
top
was good.
three. I'm like, dude, I don't have a top three. Like even if I put anything on these days, it's not like high production. I like to go with the amateur. I like to go with the iPhone filmed in your fucking like in the bathroom at a party porno. I'm good with that.
Yeah, all my porn stars would be Asian women.
Nice.
Which would be number 1, Kobe Tai, number 2, Asa Akira, and 3 would be Asia Carrera. And goosh!
Although I did watch porn of the girl that hung herself afterwards because it was like, my own personal tribute.
So what?
The one, remember the girl that she hung herself because she didn't want to do porn with someone who'd ever done gay scenes?
I've never heard of that.
Huh. Let me get you real quick on this one. Let me wise you up.
I love that scene of Bateman listening to Lady in Red because he's so lost in the music, like just his eyes closed in the head. Like,
So August Ames hung herself in like a park because she tweeted how she was unwilling to do porn with anyone who had ever done a gay scene, and then she got super bullied on Twitter for being a homophobe and stuff, and it drove her to suicide. True story.
I love this. Get it? Got it? Go.
Don't tip the owner of the salon.
I love here the way he throws the Walkman into the desk.
Yeah.
It's just one of those weird shots. I guess. What do you think of that backdrop there?
I like the old phone. I like the fact that it's clear that he doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't do shit all day long. He's either listening to the Walkman, he's got TV on, game shows. He's of course drawing dead girls.
Of course, that's Batman talking to the Green Goblin.
Yeah. I don't think he seemed like he went really, really over the top for the Green Goblin, Which I guess those kind of movies, that's what you do. I'd like to see who did Michael Keaton play?
Batman.
No, when he was the villain.
The Vulture.
Yeah, I don't go out of my way to see really big budget comic book movies that much anymore, but I think I should see that because I do enjoy me a good Keaton.
No, that was really good. That one. By the way, you see this thing when they're talking about music, and he goes, "Do you like Huey Lewis in the news?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm not really a fan of music."
Yeah.
Do you ever find that weird that there are people like that?
Yeah, like it doesn't matter to them, like what's playing. Like, what do you listen to in the car? Whatever's on. What do you mean, whatever's on?
Yeah, it's that shit. See, that's a sign of mental illness, if you ask me. Like this, thanks.
Well, it's like they say in High Fidelity. One of the quotes is like, John Cusack and his friends, they decided that it's not all about what a person is like. It's about what a person likes. And that's how you become friends with, like, it doesn't matter what you're like, but if you like the same shit that I like, you're cool.
Yeah, and Dexter Morgan uses Patrick Bateman's name as an alias to obtain N99 to incapacitate his victims. Both characters share some similarities in terms of each being serial killers who lead double lives. No, that's not a similarity. It's flat out copied and badly used.
You didn't like Dexter?
I liked it up until see the problem when they did the Trinity Killer. What was that, season 4?
Yep, John Lithgow. Yeah,
that was great. But then in season 5, they did the sex slavery ring thing.
Yeah, with Julia Stiles and Jordan Chase was the heel.
And that was so dark and brutal and disturbing. And then it just fucking pole vaulted the shark, so to speak. Like then the religious people, then whatever the fucking that lasted. Here's my problem. The show's called Dexter, yet it had so many storylines that didn't involve Dexter at all. And you'd have to go to the editor and say, you know what your job is, don't you?
Well, did you Yeah, and I know what you mean, like the romance between LaGuardia and what's his face and whatever. But did you ever hear what the original showrunner wanted the ending of Dexter to be?
No.
This guy Clyde Davis or Clive or something, whatever. Well, I think Clive Davis is a record guy. Whatever this guy's name was, Clyde Phillips maybe. He said, and he left around season 4 or 5 when it was still good. And he said he wanted the ending to be you do a close up on Dexter's eyes opening, and he looks around the room, and it's anyone he ever killed, and he's actually strapped to the table. They're about to give him the lethal injection, and the whole show has been him remembering all his kills. And the end of the show is that he's been caught. He's on the table, strapped, and he's about to get the lethal injection. You know.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, and you would have everyone in the room, his brother, Lithgow, all the random kills, you know, fucking whatever the fucking Hispanic dude's name is that he killed in season 3. I can never remember his name.
Conan,
yeah.
There's been an ongoing debate on whether this film is a drama, a thriller, or a horror film. Some even argue that this film is more of a black comedy. Likely, this film is more of a cross-genre type of film in which it's contained even more than just one particular genre.
Yeah, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
It's weird that he wore trainers to work out in the house.
And they're probably fucking spotless.
There's his penis moving about. Fuck, he really is ripped to shreds. Like,
I don't think I could do one stomach crunch right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
yeah, well, my back, it's not even worth the hassle. I thought this was Cameron Diaz for months.
I was gonna say between this and the old AC Hookers series on HBO, I was taught when I was younger that prostitutes aren't necessarily attractive. So you're not gonna find Julia Roberts in Atlantic City at 3 a.m. Not that I would know.
In the scene with the prostitute, Christy, Bateman's friend mentions their mutual acquaintance, Alison Poole. Alison Poole is the narrator and main character of the novel Story of My Life by J. McElraney, a contemporary peer of author to Bret Easton Ellis.
Yeah, he wrote Bright Lights, Big City.
And of course, in the film you mentioned it earlier, Rules of Attraction, James Van Der Beek's character is the brother of Patrick Bateman.
Sean Bateman. And they had a scene in the script where Patrick calls him, but they cut it out.
You know what? I'm just going to take one quick piss break, so if you want to do your plugs, go on ahead. But we'll not pause this.
Okay, all right. I'll just talk shit. I'll just make fun of you the whole time.
Go ahead, bury me.
Yeah. See, that's a classic song right there. Although, I'd be hard-pressed to name a favorite version if you don't know me by now. As a matter of fact, I'm drawing a blank. You have to understand Wednesdays, like I said, for me are fucking hectic. I can't think of a goddamn thing. So it's probably a bad day for me to do this, but... But to plug, while he makes sure she washes her vagina, the Creative Control Network, of course, is at the CC Network 1 on Twitter. You got Shane Helms' Highway to Helms, Where Animals Want to Rush. It's Hughezy Hello, World Reminds with David Radigan, Way Back Playback, Wrestling with Reality, The Hambone Show, and The Four Sportsmen. And I don't think I forgot anyone this time, actually. I remembered everyone. And occasionally, when I feel like doing it, Creative Control with Joe Feeney.
I'm back.
I figured it was a perfect time to do my plugs as he was instructing her to watch her vagina. So I figured perfect time to plug Shane Helms.
To block the three-way sex scene with two prostitutes, co-writer and director Miri Heron and Christian Bale watched X-rated tapes, not quite blonde, more like dirty blonde. In her commentary, Heron says Bale made stick figure drawings of the positions he thought would work best. Oh! See, these are one of the scenes that I think definitely happened, you know, in the world of the film.
And he's at Paul Allen's place, right?
Yeah, because he abused the other prostitute. She didn't even know what was going on here. She didn't know there was going to be a three-way. She didn't know there was going to be some dirty fucking street hooer.
It does definitely show the difference between a street prostitute and a high price call girl.
Yeah, and I love this scene with Bateman because he gets angry that they don't give a fuck who he is or where he works because he wants to show off. I work at Wall Street for Pierce and Pierce.
Or later where he brings her back and she's like, "Hey, your other place was nicer," or something like that, you know? Fuck, blows his mind.
Well, actually, that's none of your business.
No smoking.
Yeah, it said that they where's the trivia bit that I'd written down?
You know, you said earlier it's like this might have been Bale's like top, even though he's fucking great at everything. But what's the one he did with Bradley Cooper and
American Hustle.
yeah, dude, that's pretty close. That's fucking great. I didn't see it when it came out. I saw it like a couple of years later or something. That's fucking so good.
Says that in the novel, Bateman was way more misogynist, racist, sexist, homophobic, and xenophobic. These characteristics were overall heavily toned down in the film in order to make the character more tolerable, even though some of these characters were still subtly present.
Well, yeah, he can't be racist or homophobic, but he can fucking drop a chainsaw on a broad's head and stomp a dog to death and try to put a cat in an ATM. That's cool. We'll carry that over, but don't let him be racist.
Yeah. But it says that the this film, if it didn't have the soundtrack that it did, would have been like half the budget, but they had to spend all this money buying the rights to the songs.
Yeah, I think they even said Huey Lewis was like, "You want to use it in what fucking scene?" Like, I don't think he was cool with it, but I guess money eventually talked.
I love this. Sabrina, bend over so something can see your asshole.
Why don't you dance for us?
She's
It's
got
not-
a bruise
not very-
on her arse.
Not very good dancing either. I'm just gonna put it out there. Yeah, the American Psycho TV show was in Variety fucking 6 years ago, so I guess that's not going to come to pass. It's tough to do, man.
Yeah, it's they'll never make this as a film.
I'm definitely one of those sick types that a lot of my reading I read true crime, I read serial killer stuff, you know, mafia, school shooting, assassinations. Like that's the kind of history I read about. So it's interesting to me that I saw like the Ted Bundy kind of characteristics in this, and now Ted Bundy out of nowhere, fucking in 2019 is like the hottest thing on Netflix. You know, all these creepers are fucking discovering him. Reason I brought that up is because I think what you'll see is this Ted Bundy movie that's coming out. It's going to have a American Psycho type humor to it. That's what it looks like to me, anyway.
See, this call girl didn't have the greatest night where she's thought she's going to be some like business guy, and now she's having to do this to some dirty straight hoe.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that.
This is hilarious. This scene. What's going on there?
Maybe she's got a strap on.
Possibly. You know what the sad thing is? See the way he's flexing in the mirror and stuff like this?
Yeah.
Back when I was in that kind of shape, you didn't even have to finish the sentence, and I would take my shirt off and I would do that and flex and stuff. Because I just felt great because you go like that and your veins and all would show.
I think everyone's done that kind of flex, even if you're 6'2", 240 of a gut like I got right now. I think fat dudes still do that. Like, what about that? Yeah.
Yeah, because I've still got the shoulders, but the rest of it, it's been this is definitely the edited down version I've got because that sex scene went on a bit longer. But
are you out of the sex scene already?
Yeah, it's now he's going. Don't touch the watch.
Oh yeah, I'm still in the sex scene. Let's see what I could probably catch up.
It's just the bit where he goes over to the thing and he goes,
Yeah.
"We're not through yet."
Yeah, he's got the hanger in his hand. I just fast forwarded about a minute or so.
See, so this bit definitely happened because when later on the lady goes, "You hurt me last time. I had to go to the doctor," so it definitely did happen.
Yeah. I can't believe she got back in the car. This is great.
What do you think he did to her? Just beat them?
Well, yeah, maybe inserted some things that were vaguely uncomfortable. If she had to go to the doctor, I imagine that he may have used that hanger as a penetrator. You know.
So that's
Place.
the thing about scenes like that. While they are pretty dark and disturbing, you need them in films like this because you got to remember that these aren't nice guys. Like, have you seen the film Legend, where Tom Hardy plays the Cray twins?
No, but I intend to.
Yeah, well, it's like because they kind of playing it for laughs, but then there's certain scenes in it that makes you remember just these guys were violent gangsters, so don't be getting shocked. Look at Van Patten in the background there, over there drinking a wine glass, of course.
It's like people got turned off from Sopranos eventually when Ralphie beat the hooker to death or the stripper to death, or Tony and Christopher, and it's like, wait a minute, these guys are mobsters. You're not supposed to. They're not your pals. Or Breaking Bad, when which I'm doing another watch along, where he lets Jesse's girlfriend just fucking die in front of him. People were like, whoa, like that totally changed the show, you know?
You know, I met her, that actress, Kristen Ritter.
I didn't know who the fuck she was, and then I saw January Jones got canceled, and I was looking, I was like, oh, okay, that's the same girl. I didn't know who she was.
Yeah, she was. They were making a film in Belfast called Killing Bono, and they were filming it in the street where I had to go into the office for my interview, and because they had a fake fire going, the whole fucking alarm went off, and I'm like, "This, you can't do this to me. I've been on unemployment for years." This scene is hilarious too. I have to return some videotapes. And this really happened as well. Then
I'd say so. See, now we keep fucking we're cool with Cross on Twitter, and we all do the fucking American Psycho quotes and gifs and all that. But I saw it a few years ago with Disco played a promo of his, or told me to watch a promo or something. He mentioned not being able to get a reservation at Dorsey, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, what was that? I was like, oh, okay, I like this guy, you know?
It's typical, though, because one of my ideas, if I was ever going to work for WWE, would be that I wanted to do a Patrick Bateman style character who would like walk to the ring and be like, hey, like he would high five all the kids and shake everybody's hand, and then he would constantly get disqualified because he just would keep hitting the guy again and again.
Yeah.
And like he would run out and grab the weapons and attack the refs and stuff. And I always thought that could be something great. I have to return some videotapes.
I think everyone watching the movie wanted Carruthers to get killed. Not that I'm for gay bashing, but I think that that's it's a general perception. People want to see him kill Carruthers, and I don't think you even see him again.
But that's the thing about this film. That's is that the World Trade Center?
Maybe. This guy must be the shittiest detective ever, though. I mean, if it's legit as presented, like, he's obviously the most nervous, fucking twitchy interviewee in the history of an interrogation, you know? If he is being interrogated.
Yeah. Campbell, I've been wanting to talk to you. Are police allowed to question you more than once?
If you let them.
I guess I was returning some video.
He's not a cop either. He's like a PI, right?
Ah.
Yeah, the family hired him to look for Paul Allen. That's what he says in the other scene, I think.
Right, this Detective Kimball, this is what Conrad Thompson does on Something to Wrestle With, because he's asking Bruce questions that he already knows the answer to just to see what his reaction is. And that's what I love about Conrad, because especially when you see the video version, Conrad's trying to start a fight.
Yeah. I like the fact that I got some DMs this week that I got put over on 83 Weeks a little bit. Sort of.
Yeah.
They asked Eric who he would want to replace Conrad. and it was either me, Matt Coon, or the Casio Kid, and I got a nice little mention. So
What,
even though I work with the guys, I still mark out for shit like that. You know.
what's up with all the Matt Coon bashing that's being done by Wangland and all those guys?
I don't know. I thought and Wangland, weren't you on the same round table with Coon?
Yeah, it's very strange. Like he's become.
But you were right after a pay-per-view. It was you, Wangland, and Matt Coon, and somebody else, right?
Oh,
Or
me? No, I've never done one of those round table things.
No, maybe it was Mike Durbin and Matt Coon on the same thing, and then all of a sudden now they're enemies. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like that guy John Hughezy, what's his name?
Hughezy.
He trashed him being on Keeping It 100, but now he's like, I've got him from a podcast. It's like, what the fuck's the difference?
He trashed him on Keeping It 100? I didn't know.
Well, he trashed him to me. Look at that. Jeez. I wonder if that was there's a reason why he kept his shirt on for that, because you would assume Bateman isn't that type of guy.
Oh, he wants to get the fuck out of there. He's done. Pump and dump. He's got other shit to do. Man, I really see the Tom Cruise thing there.
Yeah. I gotta be honest though. I was talking about Tom Cruise on with Ralph Garman. I don't know why I'm plugging that fucking episode, because that'll be out weeks before this comes. But I brought up the fact that how trying to do comedy these days is really tough, because when we did the Valentine's Day party, the joke was that we were talking about all these right-wing subjects with the Love Ballad soundtrack.
Yeah.
And we said that the risk we took though is that if any of that's taken out of context, people are just going to think we're right-wing. And we said about the Muslims versus Scientology, who's better segment.
Yeah.
And then he got talking about Tom Cruise, and I said, I don't give a shit. I think he's my favorite actor of all time. I think he's the greatest movie star that there's ever been. And I think Mission Impossible is the greatest film franchise that there's ever been either.
Yeah. It shows how people just aren't very knowledgeable. And I know someone put it out as a joke, but someone said on Twitter recently, they're joking about me coming out as more right wing, and someone put, JoJo's basically turned into Hitler. And I'm thinking, but Hitler was super left wing. What the hell are you talking about? Hitler was left wing, brother. Come on.
See that lady there on the stage? Just apparently that's Elizabeth Banks, so that this was just before she really blew up.
Oh, the brunette right there in the purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it. I'm just saying, not to out myself or whatever, but there has been a situation in the past couple of years where a friend and I were in AC, and we fucking purchased something, and it was like fucking putting Frosted Flakes in my mouth. I'm like, dude, this is fucking Sweet and Low. Are you fucking kidding me? And then my friend said, he's like, I think this is Sweet Low, and I did the Bateman line. I was like, it's a little weak, but I think if we do enough of it.
There's a cameo here for anyone who's watched the Punisher TV series. The guy who jumps over the thing and says, "Could you keep it down? I'm trying to take drugs in here." He played the villain priest in Punisher season 2.
Steroids. No, I haven't watched Punisher, and now I don't plan to, because I knew it was going to get ruined.
Yeah, it wasn't great. That's the thing I don't understand about
this club looks horrible. Why would anybody want to be here?
Because of the hot chicks and
the models. Yeah, I guess so.
But this is the thing. Why is it with cocaine that it's cut with stuff? I don't know. Is that just to make it look bigger?
Yeah, no matter what it is, just to rip you off.
Yeah. Should keep a receipt next time. Of course, there's a deleted scene that was from this scene where Bateman's friend jumped over the railing and ran off, and this was the last time Bateman seen him until they were at Harry's bar.
Yeah.
For drinks.
In the book, it's basically explained he loses his mind due to all the pressure from work and money and drugs, and he runs into the tunnel and just disappears. No one ever sees him until he shows up at the end. Yeah, I've seen deleted scenes from this. Now you mentioned it. I did see that. I wish they would have kept it in.
Yeah, but there is I don't have there was a special edition DVD. This is the thing about fucking kids these days. They don't understand how exciting it was to get the special edition of DVDs, and you would get specially made documentaries all about the film, and they were brutally honest ones as well. Like they would talk about real life problems on set and things.
Yeah, and some of them, I understand for time and all this, but when you see like the Almost Famous uncut version, it's fucking worlds better than the movie. When you see the Doors special edition DVD, there's like 10 cut scenes, and like 5 of them were like, holy shit, that was better than the fucking movie. Why'd they cut these scenes? What are you gonna do?
That is hilarious. There, he's relaxing, playing with a lock of her hair.
You can only put meat and bone so long. You're never gonna complete that puzzle.
And I love this bit where he's such a condescending dick that when he's asking her what she's doing, that he almost starts laughing at her.
You're prettier than that.
That is.
The jacket with fucking shoulder pads is hideous, though. That's a terrible look.
Let's come back.
Ugh. Did you? I think we talked about this before, but you're not a Game of Thrones watcher, are you?
I am, but I hate it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, we're talking about deleted scenes. There was a great scene with Tywin where he's fucking catching fish, and who's the old man? I'm having a rough day with remembering shit. The old man on the council. He's fuck me. Give me a second. I got fucking CTE, man. There's no two ways about it.
You know what I love about this scene is that she reminds Bateman that he's not as connected as he likes to think he is.
Yeah.
The place she wants to go, he can't get in either, so he's like, you fucking bitch.
Pycelle. There's a scene with Tywin Lannister and Grand Maester Pycelle, I'm going to send you, which was like the ultimate character building scene for Pycelle and Tywin, and they cut it. It's like, why did they do that?
Right here, this one. When Bateman confesses the murders over the phone, one of the people he mentions murdering is his ex-girlfriend, Bethany. That's is that not who Reese Witherspoon plays?
Nah, she's Cecilia, right?
Oh yeah.
Bethany is like not a big part of the book, but it's like it's implied that she caused a lot of his mental like breakdowns and shit because of a breakup, and he eventually kills her in the book, very graphically.
It says he killed her with a nail gun, among other torture methods inflicted upon her. Bethany is graphically brutalized and mutilated by a nail gun before she eventually dies from her injuries. Specifically, when Patrick uses a saw to cut off one of her arms. I hope she doesn't go back out with him.
Well, there's also, and this is the scene I was in the book I was referring to earlier. He starves a rat. And then he inserts a tube into her vagina and pushes cheese up inside her, and then turns the rat loose, pushes the rat up the tube, and the tube inside the tube goes into her body and eats her out. If you want to, eats her from the outside. It's fucking hideous, this scene. I was like, I can't believe I'm reading this.
Yeah, that would never get made. Why the fuck did he have the sorbet if he's not eating it?
I don't know, maybe for her, maybe for somebody else.
So why is it that do you think that he actually likes Chloe Svengali's character like as a friend?
He likes her enough not to kill her, yeah. Or, it's just being very cold and realizing that if she disappears it could get traced back to him, and it's too risky. Although killing his ex-girlfriend in the book and killing Paul Allen and stuff could all easily be traced back to him, too. I'm going to grab a drink.
Delicious. Yeah, but Joe can't hear me right now, so we'll trash talk him. He's an arsehole. If I ever met him in real life, I would do exactly what Patrick Bateman does in these films to him all the time. Joe's married, of course. She's finds me way more attractive, funnier than he. She says, "Oh, I hear you've been in shape back in the day. Used to be quite muscular." And I say, yes, I was. She goes, "Ooh, send me photographs of that, please." So I send them away, and she loves them all. And if it wasn't for me, and my genius, the Creative Control Network would crumble to flames. I try not to be brilliant all the time, but I just keep feeling, you see, being brilliant isn't easy. It's just something that happens naturally. I also like to take this time to trash David Radigan. I'd like to give him a burial. John Wangland, he'll get a good bashing. Who else? Hurricane Helms, I've not met yet. I'd love to actually talk to him and bury him. Oh, Joe's back. I was just praising you there, talking a little bit of nice stuff.
What kind of, oh shit. Forgot you got that close. What kind of whiskey you got? What are you drinking on there?
It was a bit of Pogues whiskey, but the problem is I left the bottle downstairs.
Yeah, I just
So
had to ascend and descend one flight of stairs. You can see how long it's going to take me to catch my breath just from that. It's unbelievable. I mean, I have a cold. That's probably what it is.
You know, it's got to be the weird thing about Bateman there is that, I was reading it said that he bulked up, Christian Bale bulked up to 180 for this. And hearing that shit pisses me off because I'm currently at about 220. And this is me having lost 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, like, this film came out in 2000, so it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah, holy shit.
And Christian Bale hasn't aged at all.
No, not really. I don't understand why she would go to his place anyway. He's just an unpleasant dick to her. Like he's being a very unpleasant dick right now, even.
Yeah, I think it's because she's wanted to jump his fucking bones for so long that she just didn't care. It's like with how your lovely wife went out with that scumbag Crazy Eddie. Like, luckily she broke up with him. She's going out with you now.
Yeah. It's funny.
What?
When we did the backyard stuff, we would do like little video skits and angles and shit. And in every one of the angles, it was never negative. Like I always stole somebody's girlfriend or wife, but no one ever stole mine. It was fucking tremendous. So you could say I was maybe like the head writer.
What made Eddie so crazy?
I have no idea. There was something around the Philly area just called Crazy Eddie's. There was like a pawn shop almost, and he had these really outlandish commercials. And for some reason, the name stuck in my head, and I just fucking stole it. That was it. I guess it was like supposed to be like a hardcore wrestler, so he was crazy. That's about it. There was some other gems in there. There was Sledgehammer Charlie. He carried a sledgehammer. Bet your ass he did.
In the film, Bateman's apartment is clean and polished, but in the novel, his apartment gradually becomes filthy and messy due to the various body parts of some of his victims. This is one of the main reasons why he frequently used Paul Owens, named Paul Allen's in the film, apartment to continue to bring home more victims.
Yeah, I guess he did use it a few times. In this, he only uses it with the two. Look at how crazy he is with the salt. He's just fucking.
This is what's so crazy about this. Is why did this police need to see him for a third time?
Yeah, and he has no big reveal. He's going to reveal nothing. He's going to reveal that you're not a suspect.
Look at the way I love the way he's cutting the steak. You're like, although you know one thing, I don't know if you ever watched the show Big Bang Theory, but one of my biggest pet peeves in acting is food acting.
Yeah.
And that show is the worst. Where like they'll go to they'll like cut a slice of pasta for a good 20 seconds, then they'll pick the fork up, look at other people, and put the fork back down and start cutting. And you don't have to say to the director, "Hey, What about if they're drinking fucking coffee instead of eating, you fucking wankers? It looks really bad.
You know who never had a problem with food acting? That was the great James Gandolfini. He would eat and eat. The scene where he's like at his fattest and he's just fucking stuffing the sushi in his face. Oh, the greatest. And he's just like, whoa, like he can't possibly eat anymore.
It's a touchy situation. There's of course there's that scene in the scene in what season? I can't even remember the season name. Where he remember when he had that run-in with the police officer, give him the parking ticket or whatever? So Tony
Charles S. Dutton from Rock.
Yeah, so Tony uses connections to get him in shit, and then he says, "Hey Tom, you wanna reverse this?" And he goes, "Fuck him." And then he's eating this meatball sandwich and he's breathing like Darth Vader. Like oh.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I told my wife I'm going to start wearing shirts, just big fat Italian mobster shirts now to cover my bulbous gut. She's like, "You're not wearing those bowling shirts." I was like, "Yep, that's where we're going now." I could lose weight, but then what if I could just dress to hide my fatness? So maybe I'll do that.
And of course, there's a scene. There's Cameron Diaz again. Yeah, it's that scene where forgot. Oh, and Knocked Up when Seth Rogen's getting to know the woman after they're having the baby.
Yeah.
So she she takes him to the gym for the first time, and she goes, "How you doing?" And he goes, "I'm fucking breathing like James Gandolfini over here."
I told you, my favorite podcast to listen to now is fucking Pod of Bing, and all it is just about either rewatching The Sopranos or interviewing people from the show. I just listened to the one where they interviewed the guy who played Big Pussy's FBI handler with the lisp, Skip. And it was a great hour of talk, just talking about his career and The Sopranos and other shit he did. I'm like, man, this is what I'm talking about.
Wonder if they could get on the CCN.
Pot of Bing. Now that guy seems like he has money.
Yeah.
Like he's got it all figured out. Like he's got a studio he does it in and shit.
It is a pretty good name, like Bada Bing. Oh!
But if I ever do change, kind of change creative control into something non-wrestling, I would be going after that dude for like one of my first interviews, just because I think his show's so tremendous.
I say go for it anyway, because then fuck knows what'll happen next.
Yeah, I just gotta get it started.
I'd say after this, send him a DM or a text or whatever, a text or a tweet, and say, "Hey, Paisat, why don't you come over here? I'm not some Molignan or a Tetson or a Baroque."
He's Indian.
Oh, Jesus.
An Indian guy doing a Soprano. It's tremendous.
Did you think that Bateman deliberately went to bring her in again, knowing that he was going to kill her?
So she's one of the writers, the redhead?
Yeah, that's Guinevere Turner.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knew. And I would also imagine that right there is probably a halcyon. That's my 80s drug knowledge.
What does that do?
It's just like a super downer. Like wrestlers used to fucking drug each other with them, and they would call it getting H-bombed them. So Mr. Perfect would be the kind of guy that would H-bomb you and shave your fucking eyebrows because you were so passed out, that kind of thing.
So she looks like she's about fucking 1 foot tall there.
Hot number.
So he's pretty much almost drugging them in a way, or drug raping them.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I might be wrong because I think in the book he doses her with ecstasy to get her more into the fucking three-way aspect of it. So maybe that's what was going on there.
I've always thought that because back when I first started going like the film school, I really get into the editing side of stuff, and I've started to really analyze trailers and things. And I always thought that if they were going to make this trailer for like for modern days or for modern days, it was over 10 years ago, I would have just the sound of the chainsaw running and the screams of her when this dirty hoe is trying to get away, and just have like American Psycho just start to slowly like fill up, almost like blood on the screen.
Do you ever think about recutting a trailer? Like, you know how people do like American Psycho as a comedy, or like say American Pie as like a horror flick, like how they recut the trailers and make it seem like a different movie. Those are pretty funny.
Yeah, I've actually heard that what's his name, Topher Grace has gone back and re-edited the Star Wars films.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it's sort of like it gets to the point, or like he dubs over certain dialogue with the jokes and shit, and has his private screenings.
Oh, I see. Topher Grace. We already talked about Jared Leto as the Joker. Now we could talk about Topher Grace ruining Venom for. I don't give a shit if the movie just came out or not. He ruined Venom forever. There's no coming back, even if that movie was a success.
I actually preferred Topher as Venom than Tom Hardy, which is shocking.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be on ecstasy. Yeah, I still haven't seen it, dude, and I fucking loved Venom. And I'm not a huge comic book guy. Like, I got my little collection back there, but it's not a lot of comic shit. Most of the graphic novels I own are like, there's not a lot of superhero shit going on. You know what I mean? It's almost like just they're graphic novels. There's one about a screenwriter in old Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like they're not necessarily comic books. But I love Venom. I always loved Venom.
Wait till you hear this bit of trivia. In the novel, Patrick Bateman murders a young boy at a zoo to see if he can get some satisfaction from the event. He went as far as to pretend to be a doctor when the boy's mother found him. This is perhaps the most disturbing and controversial scene of the entire book, and its content would never be filmed due to the callous nature.
I remember that. I think he stabs him with some kind of, like, a needle full of something. So the kid goes down like it's a seizure or something. He pretends to be the doctor. I do remember that.
It says Christian Bale's Welsh accent can briefly be heard during the scene when Bateman confesses to the murderers over the phone to his lawyer.
Yeah. Give me my geography lesson. So he's fucking Welsh. So that's Wales. So where's Wales compared to Ireland?
Well, Wales is part of the UK, but to say he's Welsh but grew up in England, but his accent's very, very strange because it switches between London to Cardiff to American.
Huh. Poor chick, man. She was being smart. She was going to try to roll out sneakily, and it was already too late.
Here's the theory on the ending. The ending traditionally has two possible explanations. Patrick killed all the women we see him kill, and the lawyer simply mistakes Paul Allen for some other yuppie, much like Bateman is mistaken for Halberstram, almost like a sick joke. Yeah. The other theory is Bateman didn't kill anyone, but simply fantasizes it all in his office by drawing it in the notebook. Or this is why he claims the confession meant nothing, because it didn't happen.
I think it's closer to the first one, and I think when you see here eventually the realtor trying to sell the apartment, that it was just quietly cleaned out, and they don't want anyone to know what happened there because she wants to make her fucking commission. You know what I mean? An extension of that self-absorbed 80s. You know, if that's the way the story's going. I think I saw some testicles there actually.
Well, I've seen at least two.
But that's what so, I think this is fucking impossible. See, this is a little silly. This and the police chase, but I think that's exactly what you said. That whoever says that they saw Paul Allen wherever it wasn't him. He was mistaken for someone else, just like Bateman gets mistaken for Halberstram. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I love that he put his trainers on before running.
Just them, or maybe he had them on.
He's so his shoulders are so jacked here. We're a couple of tough guys. Look at his body.
Oh, I fucking love this scene. When long story short, little life story here. I left a chick to be with my current wife, and it was very sudden. So it caused some problems with some friends and stuff that didn't like her because I left the other girl for her. So right after I left the girl, I posted this on my friend's wall. This scene where he's, he's just like, you're just not terribly important to me. And like my friend got it immediately. He's like, oh, you're a fucking asshole.
Poor Reese Witherspoon. How could this? It says here this is the first movie where Reese Witherspoon cries after getting dumped in a restaurant. The second, which came a year later, Legally Blonde.
What a fucking difference. See, I knew her from a movie called Freeway back in the day, which was lower budget kind of thing. Kiefer Sutherland was in it as a killer, and it was pretty good. Then there's a forgotten comedy with her and Paul Rudd called Overnight Delivery, which was pretty funny. This is all before they were both like big,
I'll probably get re-added to Netflix in a few years because isn't it weird how big Paul Rudd is these days?
He's funny, but if you watched Overnight Delivery, you would see him playing the exact same type of role, playing it the way that he would play it later in 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up. Like he kind of plays similar. His comedy style is very similar in each movie, or role models even, But I like most of his shit.
Have you seen the Ant-Man films?
Nah, no.
Really good.
I've thought about it. You can have them.
Says here Christian Bale was warned that it could be career suicide for him to play the lead in a film like this. This only made him more eager to take the part. Fortunately for him, the opposite turned out to be true. Bale's role in the movie was considered a breakthrough performance and enabled him to shift his career from supporting roles to lead man status in the decades to come. The film accumulated in roles in the Batman and Terminator franchises.
What was the culminated? What was the word I got wrong last time and I just got wrong again? I just can't say right.
African American.
That one, yeah.
You called it something else, beginning with,
Hey, this isn't Chicago at 2 a.m. for Christ's sake.
See, so it's like this is what makes you wonder how much of this is he imagining in his head. He's like, the sign obviously doesn't say "feed me a cat."
Right. That's fucking great. Every alarm. Besides, where does he think he's going? He just sets off the last one for the hell of it.
I love the look in his face because he's like, the interesting thing about that scene with the police is on the DVD. I think it's on YouTube where Christian Bale does an interview for the DVD, and he's 100% in character. But at the same time, he's not like he's full on voice, but he's Christian, and it's very strange, but it's very funny.
Yeah, see, and he kind of looks at the gun like fixes his hair. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw this with the girl I was with. Like that's when we started to kind of get it towards the end when he goes back through the revolving door. It's like, oh, okay, like this is a fucking comedy. What the hell?
It's and this bit I said when he pulls out the you think he's about to kill this next person at the book, but it's just to sign in.
Yeah. Yeah, the janitor. That's right. Whoa. And he's the greatest shot in the world, mind you.
Wonder why he didn't kill him. I suppose because he lives there.
His office is there, right? And they probably shot it in the same, because it's exactly the same, right?
Yeah. So it's this scene coming up that made me realize how brilliant of an actor he is. Because it's like one long take of an extreme close up.
Every now and then I'll get the bug or the idea, like, that I would want to try acting, at least a little, just do something. I lose it, but you never know. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to go about it, and I don't want to sit in a fucking acting class.
Can you do the Patrick Bateman voice? Tell me about your day today as Patrick Bateman.
No, I can't do voices. I guess I'm screwed.
Go give it a try.
I would have to be every character I would have to play would have to be like Affleck and Damon are constantly Boston related characters. I would have to be like a Philadelphia suburbs character. They're like, hey, can you play a Southerner? Nah, can't do it. Nope.
I was at Harry's bar for drinks. I love this thing we call some guy. He goes, I killed some faggot with a dog. Like why did he suddenly decide to become really like homophobic right in the middle of this shit?
In the book, that happens. He kills the guy just because he hates the dog or something like that. And he is very flamboyantly gay.
But it's weird that this is funny.
I know, right?
Make their brain.
And of course, the one that he's the most proud of and not upset is Paul Allen. He's like, everyone else, he's kind of crying Paul Allen. He's like, but Paul Allen, and a big fucking smile.
Had to kill a lot of people. But it is weird that this film where he plays one of the worst types of people ever turned him into like a box office draw, and like he's gonna be a hero.
I ate some of their brains. Tried to cook a little. He's got a lot of career left too, man. He's only 45.
And he does look great. And plus, so with this whole shit that's going on with Batman, did you know he was supposed to come back for a fourth?
No, I wish he would have. I wish he would have done Batman and Superman.
But the thing that's crazy is apparently the studio said no because he'd asked for like 40 million. And they said no, but then Affleck pretty much got that.
Yeah.
For his run as Batman, and it's a shame that that franchise is so it's the worst franchise going. Like, how could Warner Brothers of all people screw it up so badly?
And they had it right too. Him as Batman and fucking Nolan directing. Like, people, like, The Dark Knight isn't just one of the best comic movies ever. It's probably like I don't want to say one of the best movies ever, but it's excellent for anything. You don't have to be a Batman fan or a comic book fan to like that. You know, it's fucking awesome. And just like I kind of knew Bale was going to be a good Batman, I remember it was in the beginning of social networking, really, but people weren't too keen on Ledger's Joker. And I was like, dude, you're going to fucking see. You're going to be surprised. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And he fucking just iconic. Iconic?
Iconics.
I love him.
But I think it's actually my top 5 films of all time, in no order, would be like Goodfellas, Heat, The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, American Psycho, and Fast and the Furious 6.
What? Why is Fast and the Furious on that list?
Because The Rock's in it, brother.
All time. And it's funny because now I watch it and I realize it might not have been as good as I once thought it was, but I still keep it at number 1 because I loved it so much at one point. It's fucking True Romance.
Yeah, it's a great film. But the thing is...
Still never seen.
The what?
Conan's never seen it. We've been trying to get him to watch it, but No dice. Just like Disco with Big Lebowski, he will not watch. He will.
Big Lebowski, I thought like it's not. I think it's good, but I think it's a little overrated.
I liked it better when nobody knew about it. You know. Now it's fucking this big thing, and unfunny people think it's funny, and that hurts it.
So talk to me about this scene here. It's like the timing of this. The day after he phones up and confesses, the house is completely painted over, and so there's no way he was imagining being in the place because the prostitute was there. But
I just think that again, it's like a commentary on the time period, and that it was cleaned out, and then this chick is fucking trying to get her fat commission, and she never wants anyone to know what happened there. And even if she knows now, hey, this guy was probably involved in the fucking hideous actions that happened in this place, she don't give a fuck. Get out. If you stay here and the cops have to come with all this, it's gonna hurt her money. So, that's where I'm at. She just doesn't give a fuck. She wants to make her cash. Get the fuck out.
always made me wonder: did she know Bateman? Like where's his parents? Like,
I don't know. His parents don't get that much of a mention in this or in the book, really. I think they mention it a little bit in Rules of Attraction. Obviously, they're rich. They say something earlier that his dad owns the company that he works at, or your dad practically owns the company or whatever. So maybe there's some influence from the parents, but they don't really. I won't. They don't really say that much.
What's going on with him on this phone call? Because he starts like snorting and like is he high or is he? Of course, he's got the headphones on. He'll be listening to some music.
I think it's supposed to be a panic attack or anxiety attack.
I'd love to know what happened the day after this scene when he goes into the office and she's seen his book of lovely drawings.
Just fire.
The thing is, an American Psycho TV series will never work because it'll be all diversity. It'll be all strong women characters, which in the where this is set in the 1980s Wall Street America, it really was all about white men doing it all, and women are there to the stay-at-home wives and girlfriends and shit. So I can't see it working unless they. But I have also a feeling why bother, because American Dexter basically used the American Psycho gimmick.
Yeah. That shot of her is very cool. The way, you know what I mean? It's kind of blacked off. That's pretty cool. The latest casualty of diversity is I heard they're making a Lost Boys TV show. I liked the Lost Boys when I was younger. I'm not a big Lost Boys purist, but they're changing the Frog Brothers into the Frog Sisters. Like, you know what I mean? Come on, stop. Or like Preacher. Have you ever watched Preacher?
I've never, but it's the only comic series that I've actually read.
Yeah, the Preacher comic series is great. Okay, so they take his girlfriend, and on the show, she's now a black chick. It's like, wait a minute, like, just, why can't you just keep the black characters black? Now I sound like John Wayne.
Do you know what her surname is in real life?
No.
It's spelled Nega.
Huh.
Yeah, and she's from Dublin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fucking good-looking woman, her, too. Excuse me, gentlemen.
Rocking and a rolling.
I'm just a happy camper. That bit's very Tom Cruise-y when he says that.
Yeah.
Do you smoke?
No. I did when I was younger, but no.
Every time I see people smoking, it just look really thirsty.
Well, I still, if I'm out drinking and I'm around someone that smokes, I probably will bum a cigarette. Like it's just habit. But I haven't been a smoker in a long time, maybe 15 years.
Look at some of these hairstyles. Jesus Christ. See, so he's acknowledging that he did get the call and the bat, and because he's Bateman's lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that my theory is he called Bateman's parents and was like, "Yo, what the fuck? Homeboy's fucked up over here." So that's when they called in and it says, "Right, get the Paul Allen's apartment, clean it out, get all this shit done."
Right, because he does mention Paul Allen, yeah.
Yeah, so like he acknowledges getting the cut, chop his fucking head off, and you can see it in this the lawyer's face. Like, the lawyer knows. God, I can't wait to speak to Guinevere Turner. To say, what the fuck is the end and tell?
Stop.
Oh, Bale is amazing here. Like just the way he switches. You stupid bastard. By the way, did you notice how he pushed his chin out when he said "stupid bastard" like that?
Yeah.
Because it's the British and the Americans pronounce their A's differently. So he probably would have been, "Why not, you stupid bastard?" So he had to go bastard instead of bass. Look at those tits. Oh.
Huh. Yeah, I think I'm a couple of seconds behind it because he just did the stupid bastard part, but I just saw it, yeah.
Did that say building?
Evil architect.
See the way her reaction to looking at this book? That's my reaction when I look at Twitter.
Why would that make you cry? It's just a bunch of stupid pictures. Who cares? She's weak.
She's a hoe.
You're just an aspiring graphic novel artist. There's a shotgun up her butt.
I know that feeling. Jesus Christ.
Until the trigger goes click.
It says in the trivia that they had Justin Theroux wearing green contacts for this, but why do that? Why not just let him have brown eyes?
So this is supposed to be like 86, I think.
God, if they got Killer Cross to say, "I'm just a happy camper, rocking and rolling."
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Do you think he remembers us?
Maybe. Well, he knows.
Is Twitter following? Go ahead.
He probably knows who I am off like the slightest like bit because I have hit him up for like drops for Conan show and stuff. So.
Because it does we do seem to be the only ones that keep sending him American Psycho gifts.
Yeah.
And his Twitter following isn't that big.
Although I did see Scarlett send him one once where it was the "you're not terribly important to me" gif, and I was like, all right, she's cool as shit too now. Now she's on the cool list. You know?
Yeah, I might reply to their private messages every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, someone told me that they were at a show in Maryland close by me that Scarlett was on, and Cross was just there hanging out with her. So I would imagine the rumors about those two are probably correct.
Seems like a nice enough guy.
Yeah, God bless him, right? Can I say God bless someone, or is that still allowed?
Allah. Praise Allah. I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. This confession has meant nothing.
Yeah, talk about diversity. What was there? One black character in the whole movie, and they got stomped and stabbed to death.
Yeah, and then there was a bunch of Asian. Well, there was the Asian woman in the
At the laundry. That's it.
yeah who he threatened. There was the Asian woman on the sex tape. There was the Asian woman at the masseuse and the nail part lady.
Oh yeah. And wasn't the waiter that him and Paul Allen have? He was something weird.
He yeah, he was Hispanic.
Yeah, he was something off.
Well, I effing love that film.
Even the outro song's pretty. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's pretty groovy.
It's actually it's a Bowie song, and I think if I remember, it was used at the end of a Christopher Nolan film. I don't know if it was Insomnia or the other one. The other one,
Memento?
Memento. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, Feeney, that was our first ever proper film watch along.
Yes.
I enjoyed this one, and we'll have to do it again for the next one. But right now, I've got to go return some videotapes.
Yes.
And if I'm not back later, I'll see you tomorrow at Harry's Bar for drinks.
I'd like to do another one, but you're not terribly important to me.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
Want to buy wrestling merch but don't want to buy the cheesy or childish stuff that WWE puts out? Well, Collar and Elbow is the company for you. Collar and Elbow was founded on the traditional values of professional wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product intended to connect with people on an emotional level. A symbiotic relationship where one cannot flourish without the other. They strive to create a product that embodies their passion for professional wrestling through street fashion. Basically, it's wrestling merchandise that you can wear in public that doesn't make you look like a total nerdy mark. This is great stuff. I've bought a bunch of it myself. I wear it myself quite often. And when you go to buy it, don't forget to use the coupon code Hughezy. That's Hughzy, all in capital letters, to let them know that you heard about it through me. That's Collar and Elbow. Use the coupon code Hughezy. And do not forget to tell your friends, because this is the best merchandise company you're going to find anywhere. You're just not terribly important to me. What a great accent I just did. I should be the next American Psycho. Some would say I'm actually halfway there. Okay, up next is the brilliant genius Guinevere Turner. Now, Guinevere Turner's on talking a whole bunch of stuff. She's talking about working with Uwe Boll. She's talking about her new film, which is coming out, called Charlie Says. It's a film about Charles Manson. Yes, the Charles Manson. And about his side career as a DIY expert. Not really, I just really love that sound effect. So I'm going to use that joke about 14 more times for the rest of this episode. But yes, here comes Guinevere Turner on doing an interview. She was brilliant. Couldn't have been better. The fact that she took the time to do this for an old chunk of coal like me is amazing. She's got a friend for life. Guinevere Turner, hello.
So, hey, Guinevere Turner, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
And it's extra exciting for me because you're the first person who I've ever spoken to with the first name Guinevere, and it's quite a fun name to say.
Really? I would think that at least, being in the UK, you would have encountered a few more. I've also never met a person with my name, only dogs.
That's the problem with being born with the name Adam, is it? I think that my mum had just given birth and was looking at the baby book and thought, you know what, that'll do. I can start drinking again.
Right. You could have been Aaron.
That would have been awful. But
or she should have thought, like, what boy, original boy, Adam. Maybe she didn't even look at the book.
But just for people who are listening, of course, this is the brilliant Guinevere Turner, writer, actress, but also, if you do a Google search on Guinevere, one of her next releases coming up is possibly the greatest title of a documentary I've ever seen. It's called Uwe Boll, Fuck You All. So, to tell me about that documentary, because there's no official release date for it over here just yet. So tell me about that documentary and your experiences with Mr. Boll.
Well, hilariously, Uwe Boll is a director, a writer, director, sometimes writer, who hails from Canada at the moment, but is German. And he is sort of notorious for making the worst movies ever. And I mean, critics, they almost are excited when he comes out with a new movie because they just roll their sleeves up and think of expletives. Which then he literally did because critics slammed he's made like 6, 7, 8 films. He slammed critics slammed him, and so he challenged all critics to a boxing match a few years ago in Belgium, gave them 6 months, and trained himself, and then critics showed up thinking it was all a big gag, and he punched people out. Like that's his level. He means business. So working with him, I wrote the film, quote unquote, wrote the film Blood Rain, which is based on a video game loosely based on the video game of the same name. And he was let's just say a challenge to work with. He pursued me like crazy for almost a year to write this, and I thought I was already asleep at video game and vampire, but he was, that's not in my sort of wheelhouse, as they say. So, but I said, fine, it's all practice. And so I did the adaptation. And then, 2 days before the premiere, the producer called me and said, just to warn you, Uwe did several rewrites on the script, and then he let the actors take a crack at it. I was like, all right, thanks for the warning. So anyway, I mean, the script is just so the movie's so vaguely related to the script that I wrote, and there was yelling and screaming and just weirdness. And in the documentary I talk about just the various phone calls I had with him and just the whole experience. It's funny to me. I mean, the movie lasted 2 days in theaters, is once again known to be, here in the US we have a thing called the Razzies, for short for Raspberry, which is the sort of anti-Oscars, like the films that get things for the worst, and I got a Razzie for the screenplay.
Well, over here we call the Razzies the Aston Kutchers. But what was it like though when you went to the premiere of Blood Rain? Because of course there's the photos of you on the red carpet. Like, how was it seeing the film for the first time?
Well, first of all, I saw Uwe standing by the poster getting photographed, and I'd only met him once in person, and so I said, I want to be in photographs, and so I just walked up to him and stood next to him, and he looked at me like I was some kind of stalker. I'm like, it's Guinevere. Like, you may remember me from such things as I wrote the fucking script. So that was just funny. I'm like, the director literally is afraid of me, but because he doesn't know who I am. And then in actually watching the movie, I was laughing out loud because it's so outrageous. The movie itself is just outrageous. And then the vestiges of my script were barely available, and yet there my name is on the big screen in a room full of people at Man's Chinese Theater. It's just silly. So I have a sense of humor about it, but it was. I was the only person laughing in the theater, which was awkward at moments. When you're seeing to actors.
But I tell you, the one thing that Uwe Boll's that's quite charming about him, I've got to say, is that like his life story. It's amazing when you think he's from Germany to come up, and he lived like out in the countryside of Germany, to then be in LA making in Hollywood making action films like that. Like he did live the dream, just sadly. It was a mostly shit dream.
Yeah, well, the thing is about the documentary, when the documentarians wanted to interview me, is I said I don't want to, it to just be a party of making fun of Uwe or saying bad things about him, because I agree with you completely. He's impressive. He has made all these films, and Blood Rain is a $25 million film with Sir Ben Kingsley and Michelle Rodriguez in it. Do you know what I mean? He gets people to do his movies, and so that's impressive. I have never gotten anyone to make a $25 million movie. So he's funny, and he's funny about himself. And in the documentary, which I have seen, you do come away as like, wow, that is a phenomenon of a human being, for better or for worse.
And he's still got the greatest angry rant in the history of YouTube. Like he just goes off, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and he literally will say "fuck you all" and "fuck Hollywood," "fuck this" and "fuck that." And he's I wrote to him afterward because he was after Blood Rain came out, because he was in the press saying that he wanted to do a Western of Blood Rain, the character. And so I wrote, sign me up, but he never wrote back, I think. And then I asked the documentarians, what does he say about me? And they said he blames you for the failure of Blood Rain.
Oh, but that's the immaturity, Gene. Like, if this interview doesn't go well, it's your fault, not mine. Like, for example, for those people don't know, just some behind the scenes trivia, I forgot to ask Guinevere actually where she lives. So I was talking to her as if she was like some Belfast person. So that means either I forgot and I'm dumb, or you told me and then forgot and I'm still dumb. So either way, this doesn't make me look good.
Journalist.
Oh yes, but also the next release you've got coming out after that, and the trailer's doing pretty well at the minute. It's a film called Charlie Says, and it's a story about the Manson followers. So without giving away any spoilers yet, because it's not out here until October, what can you tell us about Charlie Says?
So Charlie Says is the third collaboration between director Mary Herron and I. We did The Notorious Betty Page and American Psycho together. And Charlie Says, it's the first one we didn't co-write. It's only written by me. And it centers around the three women who went to prison for doing his bidding, which is, brutally killing people, complete strangers in the middle of the night. 7 people to be exact, over 2 nights. And it's about their time in prison mostly, and the fact that they were trapped. They were sentenced to death, but then the death penalty was lifted. So they were sort of trapped in this death row that was built just for them for 7 years. And it's about them how they each come to realize that they were brainwashed and take responsibility for their actions. And then it lives in a lot of flashbacks for how they got there. So we do see the well-known Matt Smith as Charles Manson himself, and then how they got there. So it's a romantic comedy. It's not. It's a very sad movie. It premiered at the Venice Film Festival last fall, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house, myself included. It still makes me cry because it's a really sad story.
If I get the name properly, is it Hannah Murray? Does she?
Hannah Murray is one of the main characters. She plays Leslie Van Houten. Hannah Murray, best known for Game of Thrones and for not so well known here, but I assume well known over there, the TV show Skins, which I loved.
But the thing about I never actually seen Skins, but the thing about her, I seen her in the film Detroit. Is Catherine Bigelow?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it was her, because I'm watching the film and I was like, but she's English.
Yeah, I know. And she obviously is playing an American in my film, Charlie Says. And she pulled a Christian Bale on us, Christian Bale being the star of American Psycho, also from the UK, from Wales, I think. She spoke in an American accent the whole time. And I'm talking about sharing bottles of wine with her on days off. And she still, even after a bottle of wine, stayed in the American accent, which I find so impressive. I've asked British friends who are actors, how is it that we do such terrible British accents and you all do amazing American accents? And this one actress said, we grew up on American television. We've been hearing your voices in our heads our whole lives.
Yeah, it is, because I've interviewed a lot of retired wrestlers on this podcast, and it's just hearing people who actually talk like that in real life. It's like, this is the movies, I'm loving this.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool. I mean, I tried to do a British accent before. I always try to Brits who can do perfect American accents, and it's just good for a laugh.
But I've got to ask you about this film, because of course you've mentioned it a few times there. Obviously, I'm sure when you were growing up, you were always like, "Oh, I want to be in the film business. I want to work in media, all this stuff." But what's it like knowing that a film you wrote is considered by so many people to be one of the greatest films ever made. And of course, we're talking American Psycho.
It's fantastic to have that, on that notch on my belt, especially because when the film first came out here, anyway, American Psycho, that is, it was not well received by critics and not really that well received by audiences, and we were despondent, me and the director Mary Herron, because we, of course, thought it was great. So it took about a decade. I mean, the film came out 19 years ago. Took about a decade for people to start to love it, and I also think a new generation of movie watchers are a big part of why it became iconic, and so that's great for me, because if, as a screenwriter, if you can say the name of a movie you wrote and almost everyone has heard of it, then you're in good shape. So it's great, and I love the film to this day.
Yeah, like what was it like when you seen it for the first time? Because I actually just recently rewatched it about a week or two ago, with another podcast guy. We did a watch along commentary, and during it we sort of stopped talking and just watching it. We're thinking, this is one of the greatest ever films.
Wow, thank you. For me, the first time I saw it in its entirety was a test screening. And I mean, I'd seen, edits of it and whatever, but seeing it with an audience, first of all, I'm scared of scary movies. I'm not a scary movie person at all, ironically. Somehow I got here writing films about serial killers and Charles Manson. But so it was very scary to me. And then the other thing that happened was I brought a friend, and he told me afterwards, he said, you should warn people that you as an actor get killed in the movie. It's really distressing to see your friend be brutally murdered on screen. And I thought, should I though? Because as a filmmaker, I don't want to spoil it for you. but now I just tell people, oh yeah, I get brutally murdered in it. For those who don't know, I play the character Elizabeth in the film as well. Yes.
And the thing about that death scene, that makes it extra rough, is we don't actually see what he does to kill you. You always just see his blood patch appear, and you think, yep, that's enough.
Yeah, that was a very conscious decision on mine and Mary's part to have a lot of off-screen violence, implied violence, and stuff where you have to sort of decide what happened, and then might even be more disturbing than what we think happened or whatever. So because it's based on a novel that is so graphically endlessly violent, and we didn't want to do that because we were trying to do something that was more satirical and funny. That said, I may have lost perspective. I was recently at a screening for American Psycho, and I talked to a woman who said she would never see such a film like this into seeing it. And I said, it's not that violent. It's more of a comedy. And then she sat next to me in the screening, and I thought, oh, I may have lost perspective on this. He just stabbed a homeless man for no reason.
Oh, well, in that case, in the homeless person case, you had a good instance. I mean, the guy did smell of shit.
Yeah, right. And he didn't have a job. So, those people deserve to die. Like, what? It's so horrible. And that is the Disney version of what's actually in the book.
But tell me this, as a member of the LGBT community, what was it like for you to write a character like Bateman? Because he's such a fucking a piggyish, creepy, sleazy, horrible person. Like, it's the total opposite of you, pretty much. So how was it to get into that mindset of the character?
It was hard. And we thought a lot about feminist backlash in general, because on the surface, it's a movie about a guy who just brutally tortures and rapes and murders women for no reason. So what are we doing here? And we did indeed for a while, and by a while I mean a decade, get feminist backlash. But we knew in our heart of hearts that we're doing it for a reason, which is it's more of a send up of sort of men and commodification of women, and how men are competing more with each other for who has the best tan and the best suit, and women are just another commodity. And so, we did a lot of explaining of it, but I always knew that at its heart, it's a feminist film. And the novelist, Bret Easton Ellis, who wrote American Psycho, said that he was trying to write a feminist book, but it may have gotten away from him.
Can you explain to me, because filmmakers always say, oh, well, it's up to their interpretation, but they underestimate the fact that I'm incredibly stupid. they say about what exactly was the ending of American Psycho, because to me it was sort of like it's the whole like rich white privilege thing, in that he did do all these crimes, but it was covered up for him by like his lawyer and the watchers, so to speak.
Yes, the idea, so the whether or not he was actually doing all of this is somewhat ambiguous in the book. And we decided we wanted it to be clear he really is committing these crimes. And the idea is that he's doing it to stand out. Even though what he keeps saying in the voiceover is, I just want to fit in. It's that he wants to be different, and literally nobody can tell anybody from anybody. And so he gets away with it. So that was the idea. And we really wanted it to seem clear at the end of the movie that he did commit these crimes. However, we are painfully aware that it's not that clear. And so I always laugh with Mary and I say we failed at our one thing that we decided we wanted to clearly do, which is that these are real crimes. But then on the other hand, we accidentally succeeded, because to me, if you've created a movie that people are arguing about the ending, then they're talking about your movie, and that's a success in and of itself, albeit an accidental one.
Yeah, it's just, and then just the way it ends with that slow close up, and then it just cuts to black, and then the Bowie song. It's like, oh my God, I have to watch it again and again.
But that's the other thing. If you make a movie that people want to watch again, now that they know how it ends, that's also a great success.
You and Vin Diesel. But
yeah.
Do you think something like American Psycho could actually get made today with the hypersensitive culture we have? And the reason I ask is because I've been binge watching The Sopranos again, and pretty much every episode I watch and I think, well, you couldn't do this now, and the show would be protested and shut down.
Well, to be clear, it was protested when we were shooting it. Do I think it could be made today? I think today, Mary Herron and I have established a level of trust that we could get away with it. But I think no matter when you made this movie, it would have its detractors and protesters, and perhaps louder now, because a new generation of people are quick to protest, and rightfully so.
But there's also been talk that there's going to be an adaptation made a TV show of American Psycho. Do you think that would work, or do you think they might just drag it out for too long?
No, I think that would be a terrible idea. But you know what I mean? It sort of exists to me as a parable, a kind of fable, a hyper real universe. I don't know what the point of making it a TV show would be, because then you just really are delving into territory of, you're going to have some brutal murders, you know, once a week / once an episode. And that then feels a little bit exploitive. And why are we watching this? I mean, I couldn't even watch the second season of The Handmaid's Tale, because for that very reason, you know, the story was told, and it was, you know, the story from the book in the first season. And then after that, it just becomes torture porn. I watched the first episode of second season of Handmaid's Tale, and I thought, why am I doing this to myself? And why are they making a second season? So I would say a definite thumbs down on an American Psycho television show.
Yeah, that's why I had to give up on the Game of Thrones, because I think it was season 3 or 4 when all those Night's Watch men took over the farm that had all the women, and they just started to, you know, sexually assault them all. And it's like, what the fuck is this? I thought this was about dragons and monsters.
Right, I know. I mean, sadly, sexual assault and murder of women is you know, people sign up for it. People like to see it. And that, you know, and I know a lot of people who stopped watching Game of Thrones for that reason as well.
Yeah, because it's like, I like to watch TV while eating snacks, and you don't want to be like, not only can I not eat these potato chips, but I'm actually fucking disturbed and need to go take a walk.
Right. My barometer for what I can watch is, if I watch this right before bed, will I have nightmares? And the answer is almost always yes. And certainly that's true with Game of Thrones. It's just a lot to take in, especially if you're sitting there alone with your potato chips.
And of course, with Hollywood being Hollywood, and there's talk about the TV version, and then they made a direct-to-video or DVD sequel, American Psycho 2. But do you think that has there ever been any sort of conversations or talk about maybe returning back to a real American Psycho 2 set in modern times?
Oh,
Because
God, I don't know. I mean, when they started to make American Psycho 2, I think it was contractually they had to ask us first if we would write it, and we just said, "What? No, why? Like, what would you even do with that?" And I don't know if anyone or you personally have seen American Psycho 2, but perplexingly, it stars a young Mila Kunis, which is to me always worth the price of admission. But it's so nonsensical,
mm,
um, and it inspired me to invent a game called Spot the Canadian, which is to say, a lot of American movies are shot in Vancouver and Toronto, and faked for LA or New York, which is also what we did with American Psycho. We only shot for a little bit in New York. And that means that a lot of the extras and small parts are Canadians. And so then you just look for when they have to say out, about, or sorry. And then you're like, oh, that security guard's Canadian. He said, I'm not going to let you out. So when you're playing Spot the Canadian with a movie, that's when you know it's really not good.
I'd just love to know what Bateman went on to do. Like, did he go on into politics, maybe run for office, and be very terrific to a lot of people?
Yeah, like become the president of the United States, quite possibly.
Yeah, because I could you imagine that poster, like Bateman with his feet up on the desk and just with his Walkman on or something.
Oh God, it's terrifying, and I realize now that we make two Donald Trump jokes in American Psycho, or I think he thinks he sees Ivanka Trump at another table, and there's some other Trump joke, and it sort of makes me sigh, thinking that's when making a Donald Trump joke was not so emotionally loaded that way. It brought tears to all of our eyes, like we were so young, we didn't know what was coming for us.
I don't think anybody knew what was coming even 3 years ago. I thought everyone thought, what a hilarious idea. Oh shit, it's happened.
That is exactly what happened. And believe me, when the elections come again, the presidential elections, no one's going to think any of it. Look, we're going to think that anything is possible, and hopefully the right people are going to come out and vote, because I think we are traumatized as a nation right now. We're traumatized as a world right now because of that man.
Yeah, I just can't believe that he actually said very terrific. And it's like, I was terrific to him. I was very terrific. And it's like, but you're the president. You can't talk like a 5-year-old.
It's really it's the scariest part to me is how desensitized, you know what I mean. I was in New York when he was elected, and walking the streets for the subsequent week, people were literally eyes cast to the ground, like not chatting on the subway. Like it was so that we were so in such shock and so depressed. And now we're like, I don't know, it's 3 years later, and we're sort of like, what did that fool say now? I mean, with the same urgency, but he really has gotten us used to a whole new reality of shock.
Yeah. And it's real. Like, he's the real Bateman. That's the crazy thing.
I know, and that I worry. I worry that the movie American Psycho, well, I know that it can be very misinterpreted by exactly the people that it's sending up. I know that from experience, because I've met many a dude who said like, "Oh man, you wrote American Psycho, man. I am Patrick Bateman." I'm like, "What?" Patrick Bateman, in addition to being a serial killer, which theoretically and hopefully is not aspirational, is a loser. You missed the point of the movie. We're making fun of you.
Although he did like some sweet, sweet tunes. We got to give him credit for that.
Oh God. Do you know that have you ever seen Huey Lewis? So getting all the music rights was challenging for American Psycho, because we have some big songs there. And Whitney Houston's estate, this is when she was still alive, obviously, did not give us the rights to the scene. If you listen closely to the scene, which I'm in, making fun of Whitney Houston, I love Whitney Houston in real life, just for the record.
Oh, we all do.
It, if you listen closely to that scene, it's actually the soundtrack is actually a sounds alike. It almost sounds like The Greatest Love of All, but it's not, because we didn't have the rights. But in the case of Huey Lewis, he gave us the rights, or his people did. And then years later, I think he finally saw the movie and realized, he's the butt of the joke. And also it's like one of the most horrific scenes in the movie. And Huey Lewis himself, and I highly encourage anyone who's a fan of the movie to look this up, did a shot for shot parody of the scene, but it's him talking to Weird Al Yankovic about American Psycho. And it's hilarious and brilliant, and I love Huey Lewis for it. So all respect to Huey Lewis. We're sorry we made fun of you.
Well, it's good that we get on to the music topic, because we're on now to the last two big questions. And these are the questions that everybody gets asked, and these can change it all for you, Guinevere.
Okay.
So here's the first one. Who is the better band, Queen or the Beatles?
Oh, Queen, hands down. No offense to the Beatles, but come on, Queen. That, to me, Freddie Mercury, everything he did, the fact that his band was called Queen, and he was this amazing rocker, beloved by like the dirtbaggiest, hardcore straight dudes in high school. And his name, he was Being a Queen, and his band was called Queen, and he was such an incredible musician and performer. I just have so much love for Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, there's like an opinion that I have that I think that Freddie Mercury actually helped cure a lot of people's homophobia.
Right, because they had to deal with the fact that there he was being amazing and and gay.
Yeah, and it's like, so if Freddie Mercury walked into the room right now and said, "Hey, all you straight men, anyone want to go for some pints?" You go, "Holy shit, yes, I'll go with Freddie Mercury."
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he was totally groundbreaking, and I haven't yet seen the Bohemian Rhapsody film. I've heard so many mixed things. It's one of those things where you want it to be good so bad that you're afraid to see it.
As a film fan, it's great, but as a big fan of Queen, it's a disaster. But at the end of the day, it's not a documentary. There's enough documentaries on them.
Right. That's always a challenge. I mean, that was a challenge with representing Manson and his followers. That was a challenge for us back when we did the film Notorious Betty Page, because she was obviously a real person, a pinup woman, girl in the 50s. That finding the truth of the story while not doing a documentary style film that's a real challenge when you're doing biopics or films based on real people.
Yeah, because that's like with the film Straight Outta Compton. Like, I grew up a massive hip hop fan of the 90s, and that film Straight Outta Compton is less realistic than Toy Story 2.
I haven't seen Straight Outta Compton, actually. But I did watch the Biggie Smalls movie. Which I don't know, just also a huge fan of Biggie. And I just got hypnotized by the fact that his son is playing him. It was so amazing.
That's his son?
The one who plays him as a kid is his son. And I remember thinking, where did they find this kid? He just looks like a mini Biggie. That is mini Biggie.
Holy crap, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
But Guinevere, we've now come to the final question, and this is the question. And there's actually a right answer to this. And if you get this wrong, there's no American Psycho 4, there's no Charlie Says 2, there's no Friendship with Kevin Smith, nothing. That's all over. Now here is the question. The Spice Girls are back. Who is your favorite Spice Girl?
Oh, it's always been Sporty Spice.
Uh-oh.
Is that the wrong answer?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not because I know much about them. I mean, obviously, Posh herself is quite, current. But the rest of them I don't know that much about. So I don't know what Sporty herself has done as a grown-up. But as a character, I mean, I went to see Spice World and with my then 13-year-old sister, and I was so excited, thinking it was the best movie in the world. And she was like, ew, it's so dumb. So I've always just weirdly been a Spice Girls fan, but I always thought Sporty was the coolest. But maybe that's just a gay thing. She seemed the most gay.
The correct answer is Baby Spice.
Oh, why?
So I accept your apology, and you have a lot of thinking to do.
Why is it Baby? You tell me. Maybe you'll talk me into Baby.
Because she looks like the most fun one. That she's the one that wouldn't be like, I'll eat whatever I want, and we'll go drinking.
So your qualification is, who would you like to go have a drink with?
Drink, whatever. Maybe get a reservation at Dorsia,
Oh, Dorsia.
Well, listen, Guinevere, I just want to thank you so much for your time. I think you're a genius. I can't wait to see Charlie Says. It looks brilliant. And I'd love to, a few months down the line, interview you again, possibly.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I will be in the business of having spoken about Charlie Says endlessly because it comes out on May 10th, and you know, there's a lot of talking. So you may get a complete robot at that point who only speaks in sound bites, but I'll try not to be.
No problem. Listen, Guinevere, have a great day, and thanks very much.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Guinevere. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer for Charlie Says, I couldn't recommend it enough. Go look it up. It looks intense. It looks brilliant. And if American Psycho was for you, Charlie Says looks like it's going to be for you too. I cannot wait to see it. It doesn't come out here in October, sadly, but I can wait. Especially because my court case doesn't begin until November. So that was the episode. I want to do the DIY joke one more time. And it's Hughezy, bye bye, and I've got to go return some videotapes.